Good morning and welcome to our webinar this morning, Estimating with BIM. Glad you're here. Thank you for coming. My name is Judd Ewell. I'm a field sales engineer with Sage, and it's my pleasure to share some stuff with you today about estimating with BIM. Just some quick housekeeping things as we usually do. You are muted for a clean listening experience, so I can't hear you. If you do have questions, please enter them in the questions chat box in your GoToMeeting control panel. And then will do my best to respond to those either during the presentation or at the end. And lastly, maximize your screen so you can see the detail of what I'm doing. Today, we're going to talk about the best-in-class approach that Sage has for integrating with Takeoff. We're going to look at Navisworks and how we can get information from Navisworks into an estimate, as well as we'll do the same thing with Assemble Systems. So those are the two platforms we'll be looking at this morning. So the next generation. If you're going to do estimates today, you are probably getting your information from either a model or a 2D plan set or both. And so what Sage is going to do is they're going to say, you know what, we're going to use what people are already using. We're going to integrate with what people are already using. So we're going to integrate with Navisworks, or Assemble for a 3D model, or we're going to integrate with eTakeoff Dimension for a 2D plan set. So those are our best-in-class solutions, what we call best-in-class solutions, what most people use. We're going to take that information from those best-in-class solutions and we're going to bring it into Bridge. Bridge is that piece that actually does the bridging of the information into Sage Estimating. And so I'll show you how all of this works today, but that's the workflow that we're going to take. Excuse me. In addition, not only can you notice that all the arrows are flowing downhill from the takeoff source to the estimate, we can also drill down from the estimate back to the takeoff source so that we can see where things came from. We can look at changes and how those work and other things like that. So the data flow is one way down to the estimate, and then from the estimate, we can drill down back to the takeoff source, whether it's a model or a 2D plan set. Today, we're going to look at Navisworks and through Bridge and into Sage Estimating, and then we'll look at Assemble into eTakeoff Bridge and back to Sage Estimating. So those are the two workflows we'll look at today. Let's get started. So I have Navisworks here. Got an office building. And if you've been in Navisworks, this looks real familiar to you. If not, Navisworks is a model collaboration, coordination kind of platform from Autodesk. And it's pretty complicated. There's a lot of, like, just click through some of the ribbon bar options up here from the home and the viewpoint and the review. You'll see there's a lot here. What we do with, and so we've got all of these options here. We've also got an eTakeoff option over here on the far right. This is the eTakeoff Navisworks integrator. And so you can see we've got the bridge and the other things here that we'll all look at as we go through the demo here this morning. Also down here, we've got the selection tree, and I can start to just drill down through the different object types, families and things, and finally look at the exterior. And if I look at this one, I think there's a wall on the front, so I can see that wall. As you know, or as you may be aware, every object in Navisworks that's created in Autodesk's Revit and then brought into Navisworks has properties. And so this wall has some properties as well. And so here are some of those properties over here on the right. And so it's got the rooms that are attached to it. It's got its lengths and it's got its unconnected height and other things. And there's all kinds of properties in these different tabs up here as well. And so each object has properties, and we're going to be able to take advantage of some of those properties when we do takeoff. So we've got walls here, same thing for stairs. We can look at the level, we can look at level 2, we can look at all these different properties that the objects have. Down here on the bottom, we have the quantification workbook. And the quantification workbook is Navisworks' answer to doing takeoff. I wouldn't really put it in the same boat as Sage Estimating, much less powerful, but it is where we're going to get our information from. If we want to get information out of a model and into stage estimating, it has to come through the quantification workbook. And so that is the way it's constructed. It does present some challenges, but we'll take a look at those, some of those as we go forward here. But the quantification workbook, and so if I, let's do this, and if I come in here to the walls, the basic walls, the interior, and if I highlight this, now I can see that interior wall and some of the codes, and there's the length and the width, and there's the height over there on the far right. So I can see some of this information about this wall here in the quantification workbook as well. Lastly, of course, here I have this bridge e-takeoff panel, and I've got this wall highlighted, and there it is showing up here. And so this is how we'll use this panel to get information from Navisworks into Bridge. So there's lots of things you can do with the properties. That's kind of beyond the scope of this demonstration here this morning, but what we can do is we can start looking at these objects. And so I've got this basic wall, and I can hide the assigned, oh, I don't want it, sorry, wrong one. Show selected. There we go. There's the wall in the interior wall in the building. And if I selected, then I'll pick that wall. And I show selected, there it is over there. So I can show where these different walls are and what their configuration is in the model. The hide assigned is for when I do takeoff. I can then hide the things that are sent to takeoff. And so it's a way of double checking what I'm doing. And then I can compare models. We'll look at that after we've already created an estimate and come back here to this one. So if you're used to using 2D takeoff, you know that you get to go in and you get to trace and count and do all that kind of thing here in a 2D plan set. In a 3D model, it's a little different. So what I'm going to do here right now is I'm going to assume that I've got my data, my objects conditioned and scrubbed, and the properties are the way I want them to be. And so I'm just going to start Bridge. And remember, Bridge is that piece down there that connects this, connects Navisworks to Sage Estimating. It says, do you want to create a new bridge? I'm going to say yes. And I'm just going to call this sign off demo. And I can create a new estimate here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to click add new. And I need to pick the database, and I'm going to pick this one here and click OK. Takeoff source is Navisworks, the project is Stein, click OK, and Bridge is good to go. Now, what I can do is, I want to show you a couple different things here. What I can do is I can take, let's take this wall. And if I take this wall, what I can do is the first thing I need to do is map this wall. I need to map it to, I need to map the wall to a Sage assembly. And so I can click over here, and I will just drag and drop this like this onto that assembly. And so now I've mapped that, and I can, you can see that so I've associated the wall with the assembly. Now I can, in the middle here are the different variables or values that the assembly requires to run correctly. Here are the different properties that I have available to me to map. And so you can see that the model height has already been mapped because it's pink. And all I did to map that was just drag that and drop that. And the model length, I drug that and dropped that. Now that's about, a lot of these properties are not mappable real easily. And so that's about the length, that's about the limit of what I can map in Sage Estimating, or in Bridge at this point. What I can do is run the pass, and then I can send that wall to the estimate. So that's one way that I can do that. And you know, I've got some information over there. I've sent that wall over to the estimate. No cut, copy, paste, or anything like that. But let's look at something different here. If I sit here on and I believe this is a family name, interior 4 and 7/8 partition 1 hour, And remember where I drag and drop that individual wall? Well, if I drag and drop the whole entire, again, family, I think is the right name, and I drag that onto that 932 studs interior, I'm going to say yes, and it brings over all the walls. It says right here, you can see there's 37 walls. Well, what I want to do is I want to assign some WBS codes. And so this is something that we've just kind of figured out recently, but let's say that for the location, I want to say that this is floor 1, because that's where I am over here in the selection tree. I can enter that, and then what I can do is I can right-click and I can fill all. If I come up here, the key here is to click on the column header, fill all, and what do I want to fill it with? Floor 1. Click OK. And now, if we look through these different assembly items here, we can see that the floor 1 has been assigned to each item. Okay, so I can start to go in here and I can say, oh, the alternate, this is base bid. And I can fill all that down with base bid. So I can enter in WBS information before I send things over to the estimate. The key to this is right here. It's semi-automatic. I don't want everything just automatically sent over to the estimate. I want to stop here in Bridge, and I want to be able to map these or enter this information. It's not mapped. It's not automatic. I do need to type it, but I can enter it here in Bridge. So now I can go through, and if I wanted to, I can run the pass, and I can click this little run pass button 37 times and go through each wall. Or if I mouse over this, you'll see that it says hold the control key down while pressing the button to automatically add all passes to the totals. So if I do hit that control button and then add pass, you'll see down here that the quantity is populated with everything. Now I only get one pass for the whole entire all the interior walls, but now I can go and I can send those to the estimate. So I've sent those interior stud walls to the estimate that quickly while still entering WBS information. That's manual takeoff. I've also got automatic takeoff. So some of these are different walls. There's some of the interior ones that we did before, but there's others on the second floor. So I'm going to click this and just submit the fully automatic assignments, and I'm going to go ahead and select those and send those over. Now we might see a little bit of a glitch down here at the bottom because what I'm doing is this new, yeah, see these are we're going to say okay, and I'm not going to worry about these. These are, again, interior S-studs walls, and it's that semi-automatic. I just need to assign these. These are the interior floor 2 walls. Hopefully the idea is clear here, but I would need to clean this up a little bit. But let's say that you can see how easy the takeoff is. And so once you get a model, the takeoff goes pretty quickly. What you can do then is close this and go to the estimate. We're going to leave the current assignment, and we'll say no, and I just want to go to the estimate. So here is our estimate. And so I've got all of these different items in here, obviously, and if you're familiar with stage estimating, you know all about this. I can combine like items, so it simplifies it a little bit. I can look at the assembly view. All right, I've got different sequences and layouts, so I'm looking at the materials by assembly. I could look at the labor productivity, or I could look at the my default layout here. Okay, so lots of options with that. So you can start to do all of these different things here with the with your estimate, with sequences and sorting and figuring things out that way, looking at things different ways. I've got different layouts here. These are new. If you're used to using pervasive, this will be new because right now we can have unlimited sequences. Those are down here on the bottom, and we can have unlimited layouts. Those are the column arrangements across that are shown here, and I can do, they're not tied together. The sequences and layouts used to be tied together. They're not tied together anymore. And so I can have whatever I want in sequences and whatever I want in layouts. And so long as I have the right columns showing, I'll get a good view of my spreadsheet. All right, so I still have the totals down here at the bottom. I got all the different features and functions that I have in Sage Estimating, and I can collapse this down so that I just summarize things. I can expand that up. I can go to combined assemblies. So I just see combined assemblies and then combined items, and now I'm really getting summarized down here pretty well. So lots of options, and there we are back to where we started from. You might continue here by going into takeoff and doing maybe some general conditions takeoff and adding other things, and you know that you can change these numbers around and customize the cost per unit to $15. Oh, it's in combined mode. There we go. Okay, I'll take that off. And if I said this is $15 a cubic yard, and then I can go through and change that. So options there. It doesn't change the takeoff quantity. It doesn't change the material cost. It does change the cost per unit. So better to look at labor is a better way to look at that. I can change here down. I can change this $2 2 cubic yards an hour to 3, and it doesn't change the takeoff quantity. It doesn't change the labor price, but it does change the productivity and the cost per unit. So lots of things I can do with the spreadsheet. All right, so got that. These little blue carrots here are a sign that I can drill down, or it's a sign, it's a sign that says that quantity did not come from Sage Estimating. It came from eTakeoff. So if I right click, I can drill down to bridge. What I want to do here is switch to the assembly view, because I want to drill down to this block wall right here. If I click here, I can review the assembly, and I've got an audit trail of the numbers that we entered to create that assembly. Close that. Close that. I don't want to generate those quantities. So you saw that I had one pass in the audit trail. If I right click here, I can drill down to bridge. Keep that one pass in mind. If I drill down to bridge, it's going to open bridge. It's going to say, here's the wall right here in the middle. These are the numbers we entered, 40 feet long and 10 feet high. All right, if I do this, it's highlighting that wall in the model. So it's showing me the dimensions and measurements and detail information that I entered in bridge, and it's also showing it to me here in the model. Pretty handy. Somebody says, where'd you get the measurement from? You can tell them in a couple of clicks where the measurement came from and the numbers you entered. One of the things we can do too is we can compare models. And so here in Navisworks, I can click this Compare Models button, click OK, and I want to open up my new model. And I know changes never happen, but just in case they do, I'm going to say yes here. Do I want to compare these two models? And I'm going to say yes, because watch the height of this blue wall right here. There we go. It got 2 feet taller. So there's some changes here. What changed in the model? I have no idea, other than the easy one that I can see right here on the exterior. Bridge is going to help us find those changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bridge again. It's going to pop up here. And over here on the left, I have all my assignments. These are all the assignments being objects that were taken off to estimating. I'm going to refresh those assignment lists. And what I'm going to see here is I've got a bunch right here, these that are these right here. These are the unchanged ones. Nothing happened to them. And so what I want to do is filter those out. I'm going to exclude those. And so I'm left with these. This wall changed. That's what the little pencil mark means. So it was revised, as was this one. This one is deleted, and then these are also revised, and another deleted one down here. If we look at this basic wall here, you can see what happened. The length stayed the same, but the height got different. I can apply these changes, like by clicking this button, watch the quantities down here in the bottom, from 461 each to 553 each. I can now send that to the estimate, and it goes away from my list of assignments. If I look at one of these deleted ones, I can take this one here, and it will say zeros here. So I can say, notice the quantities here, do this, send it to the estimate, and that one is gone as well. And this is part of what we did with the other. We'll just delete this one as well, run the path, deletes out the quantities. Oh, this is the 9 of 36. So I don't want to delete all of them. So I will cancel that one. But you get the idea here. We can go through the changed ones, we can go through one at a time. The deleted ones we can go through, and we can get those processed as well. So this is two of the different kinds of changes that we have, revisions and deletions. Those are those two kinds of changes. There's one other kind of change we have, that's additions. So if I click the automatic button here, I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 walls that were added. I'm going to click those, and it's going to add those walls to the estimate. So I've taken care of additions, deletions, and revisions. Yours would be cleaner. I need to clean this up here and get this figured out just right. But what I can do now is I can go back to the estimate, minimize bridge, click OK here, and now you can see that this one, remember the 553 each of the standard face 8-inch block. So we've updated our estimate from the model. If I right-click, review the assembly, again, the pass audit, here's my first pass. The second pass is where the first pass was deleted. You can see the -1. And then the third pass was where we added in the new measurements. So that's what we can do here. Just keeping track of this. This is a true audit, so you don't lose any information. You know exactly where things came from. Close this and no. So that's our process in Navisworks. You can see that we can go get information into the estimate, no cut, copy, paste, see revision, come back from the estimate into the model, process revisions, and again, no cut, copy, or paste, just needed. So lots of power there, no fat finger problems, hopefully. And so that's the process in Navisworks. Also wanted to show you the process in Assemble Systems. And so let me get Assemble Systems started over here on another monitor. There we are. And so here, come on, there we go. All right, so I can log into Assemble Systems, and all right, so I'm logging into Assemble Systems. So Assemble Systems is a collaboration platform. It's really good at they're really good at collaborating and sharing information, and then conditioning that information or scrubbing it so that it has the information that you want on it. So it's web-based. Most of what we're going to deal with today, well, part of what we're going to deal with is the web-based, and part of it is not. But just wanted to clarify that. So we've got the Stein office building here down on the bottom. This is the same project we just looked at in Navisworks. Look at the same one here in Assemble Systems. And so I've got the Stein office building, and I've got different views down here. The all models, assemble, concrete, doors, panels, and walls. If I look at this, so I can create these different views that show and highlight different objects and parts of the model. If I look at this one, in this case, all models means all of the different submodels that make it up, like the structural model and the mechanical model and the architectural model. Over here on the left, I have the model tree with the different object types, and you can see that it looks pretty familiar. There's our interior walls and the basic walls, and there's the interior 4 7/8 partition. In the middle, I've got my inventory, and it is the same thing, just more detail. And so if I come down here to wall, there's the walls, and there's the interior 4 7/8, and there we are with the different walls. And you can see that I'm starting to already see some quantification information here. So I've got all of this, and then I've got my 3D view of my model, and I can spin around and look at this in different ways and zoom in and zoom out and see how things look. So what I can do in Assemble that's really cool is I can take, and I don't have time to show you this morning, but you can start to group things different ways. So you get down here with the walls, show me all the 1 hour walls. Show me all of the brick walls, show me all of the fire doors, show me all of whatever you want to do. You can start to sort, slice, and dice your model that way. And then when you're doing your work with takeoff, you've already got these different views and groupings built. And so then you can look at them any way you want. And so it really, for estimators, it can be very powerful to be able to slice and dice and sort your estimate in those different ways. Also, if I take and I just look at this model, this wall right here, I start to see over here Assemble properties. This is where Assemble really shines in that you can create your own properties. I can create a property for this wall, I can create a property for this project, or I can create a property for my company. Depends on where and how I create it. And so you can see I've got some really interesting bogus properties like this Hello World one here and the construction code or cost code, and other things here. But I can create these Assemble properties and use them to, once I get my model from the architect, I can continue to add properties to the model as I need to. I've also got all of these down here, and here's the model properties. This is what we got from the model itself, created in Revit. And so you can see I've got all those different model properties as well. So different properties that I can have for different walls, different things. So lots of flexibility and power there in Assemble Systems. The way we're going to work with Assemble Systems is a little different in that this is web-based. I'm in my browser. I'm in a Firefox browser. When we're going to get information from Sage, from the model into Sage Estimating, we need to we can't do any work here. What we need to do is we need an Assemble bridge. So there's going to be 2 bridges. We're going to have an Assemble bridge, and we're also going to use the Sage bridge. So we're going to have 2 bridges over here. And what I need to do here first is I just created a bridge for the Navisworks product. I need to create a new bridge here, and I'm just going to call it Stein Office EMBLE. And the estimate, I'm going to create a new estimate so we can see this one. I'm going to call it Stein Office. I'm going to use a different database just so we don't get things confused too badly. Click OK. And the takeoff source is not Navisworks, it's Assemble Take Systems, and it is the Stein Office building. So I click OK, and I've created a bridge. Now, the Assemble Takeoff Bridge is a Windows product that you get from Assemble Systems. Sage doesn't sell it, but you can open up your different, there's my different views. There's Stein Office. This is just the walls view. I can also open up the all models view that we looked at when we were on the website. If I go back here to the Stein Office, let me do this really quickly. I can come back here to Stein Office, and now I can see my different views. So here's the walls view, where we've hidden all the extraneous stuff, and we just show you the walls. So pretty handy to work with that. And so there's the walls here in the 3D view. All right, so back to where we were. Sorry about that. So we've got the Assemble bridge, and we've got the the e-takeoff bridge. All right, so I'm going to do this. Now then, if I come up here to this very top one, and I can say, oh, here we go, show the properties. So here's all those properties that we saw in the Assemble website for this wall. And I can say, well, okay, there's all the properties. Make it a little bigger so you can see them a little bit better. And so there's my properties. What I said is this, and the reason these three are highlighted is these are the three that I'm going to bring into Sage Estimating. What I did is I said, save e-takeoff mappings. Okay, I'm going to do that. So I've saved the mappings for this wall. I've just picked this one right here. Now I'm going to go over here to my database. Remember my resource list in Bridge. Here's my assembly. I can look at assemblies or I can look at items, whichever I prefer. And I'm going to go down here to this interior 2x4 studs with sheetrock. I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it over there like that. And so I've mapped that wall to that assembly. I've mapped the, you can see, mapped the height to there and the length to there. Again, it's just drag and drop like this and like this. And I've also mapped the level down here to location 1. I can run the pass, the quantities are calculated, and I can send it to the estimate. So that's how I can send a wall to the estimate. Again, I can do, that's manual takeoff. I can also do automatic takeoff. All of the blue ones are the ones that I can send over. I click submit, and it's going to submit 57 assignments to the estimate. I'm done. I've done, so any of the green ones have been sent to the estimate, not the exterior walls, just did the interiors. So you can see, I mean, you can see, hopefully you can see the speed of that. It's really quick to send those walls to the estimate. If I click close and go to the estimate, click this, here is the Stein Office Assemble. And I can, again, combine items, nice and simple. I can collapse it down, even simpler still, or I can span it up and click this off, expand. And there we're back to where we started from. I have the same options. I can view it by assembly. I can view it by combined assembly, which is kind of handy. There's all of that. And then if I combine the items, got it nice and simple here. So you can start to see the different ways that I can hopefully play with this and get it to be what I need it to be so that I can see what's going on. And we have our totals page as we did before with labor and material. And I don't have a, I need to set up a template, and there's one there. Changes, okay. Use this template, and I'll just pick Judd, and I'll say okay. No, sorry. No, anyway, I need to just get some more add-ons on here. And so, but we can play with the add-ons, play with the estimate, do whatever we want to. As I go back here to the assembly, I can, again, I can drill down. So I can drill down to Bridge, just like we did in Navisworks. We can drill down and assemble. It brings us to this point. I can, there's my wall there, and it highlights my wall here as well. So it's highlighting that. Now, one of the things I showed you in Navisworks was the ability to do that compare models. We don't have that in Assemble because of the way Assemble works. What I do have is some PowerPoint slides to show you how that might work. So I'm going to minimize Bridge, and I'm going to go here to the current slide. So revisions in Assemble, this is how it works. You would make the revisions in Revit, and then from Revit, you would push those, you would publish those to Assemble, and then the Assemble desktop could read them. The Assemble desktop, that piece that we had up next to the bridge, the Sage bridge, the Assemble desktop, the Assemble bridge, and the Sage bridge are all Windows-based. The assemble bridge is a read-only. You cannot change properties or modify properties in the assemble bridge or desktop. You have to do it in Revit and then or assemble and then push them down to that. So we make the changes in Revit or in assemble. We push it to the assemble desktop. From there, it goes to bridge and there to Sage estimating. So what we would do is in Revit, you would publish the, you would open up assemble systems and you would select a project and you would publish to that project. Assemble systems always reads the most current version. So the most current version is what we're going to see in the assemble bridge. So we're giving this a new name, version 2, and then you would publish the model to the assemble website. Once it's in the assemble website, then we can read it here in the assemble bridge. And there we go. So now we can zoom to the selected items. We can look at this. We can see here's all the items that were sent to the estimate. There's one that was not. A little bit different than our last demo. So there's only one wall. There it is. And now we can send that one to the estimate. We can review. We can see options of walls that were revised or deleted, just like we saw in the Navisworks model. And we can publish those. We can process those as well. That blue one there, we'll push that over. You can see the differences in the takeoff quantity. The length of the wall goes from 5 feet down to 3 feet. We can also do the same thing we did with deleted walls. If it goes away, we can delete it, and then our estimate is changed. So it is a little bit different, but it does work, and it's really efficient as you're working through the changes. So that's what I wanted to show you here today. One of the things that what could you do now? I wanted to make you aware of some promotions that Sage is offering. So if you've been off plan for a while, 3 years or more, we'll offer you a discount up to the end of the month. Also, new clients, actually that's through the 29th, I think now. And new clients can save if they've bundled with either of the accounting packages. Also, if the core, we didn't discuss eTakeoff core or eTakeoff dimension today, but if you wanted to bundle dimension and bridge with estimating core, we can do that for about $1,000 off at $44.95. Or if you want core plus and eTakeoff dimension and bridge, we can bundle those for $64.95. For today's demo, you would need to get the Navisworks integrator from Sage, and then you could with that along with bridge would allow you to do what we did with Navisworks. If you wanted to use Assemble Systems, you would need to go to Assemble Systems to purchase their bridge or that other piece, and then you would also need the Sage eTakeoff bridge. So for Navisworks, you need eTakeoff bridge and the Navisworks integrator. For Assemble Systems, you need the Assemble bridge and the bridge and the eTakeoff bridge. Hope that's clear. So we've also got some training that we can that we're offering some savings on as well, including data estimating fundamentals. And lastly, the Sage Sessions is coming up here. It's going to be April in about a month, and it's in Portland. It's a chance for you to get together with other folks, other customers, and it's really a strategic discussion of where the industry is going and what we're doing, and what some of the really good things that we're looking forward to, and our partners, and really that kind of a higher level kind of get together where we can talk about those kinds of things. So promises to be a lot of fun. I'll be there, and so we'll look forward to seeing you there. And so thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. That's all I've got for today. Get you out of here a little early. And so if you have any questions, please do contact me. There's my email address, judd.ewell@sage.com, or my phone number, love to talk to you, share with you what I know. And so again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Hope you have a good rest of your day and look forward to talking to you in the future. Thanks a lot, and bye now.